Can you tell us about your experiences and what you took out of DMT?
Well, I took it in the form of ayahuasca. I only took it twice in about 3 days in Brazil in 2003. My experience was just unforgettable. I mean, I had a voice, a woman's voice, which is, what is a woman's voice? Oh, it's just, it's a woman talking to him. No, it's a frequency. It is an information field of a certain frequency, and certain frequencies you decode as female and certain frequencies you decode as male. It's a consciousness that is communicating, and almost certainly it has to be, if we're all infinite awareness, it's an expression of your own consciousness, just a very much deeper level of it. And for 5 hours it talked to me about the illusory nature of reality, and I had instant recall of every word afterwards, which was amazing in itself. And I was taken to a place, I'm using human language here, taken to a place.
It's very hard to describe.
Yeah. And I tell you, it's a place that I experienced as beyond the realm of vibration. Because anything that vibrates, this is actually, funnily enough, Luke, this is one of the many really stunning lines that this voice communicated to me. Because when it started off, it said, we're going to take you to where you come from, so you will understand better where you are and where you're coming back to. And then it kept repeating, this is right at the start of this voice starting, 5 hours. Infinite love is the only truth, everything else is illusion. And when you study near-death experiences and all that stuff, when they go into these realms beyond the body, I have never come across anyone that wanted to come back, because they talk about this unbelievable bliss and love and all the rest of it. And anyway, I had this stunning line I was talking about at one point. It said, infinite love is the only truth, everything else is illusion. If it vibrates, it's illusion. So I experienced this as this silent stillness, as the infinite point of attention. And it took the form of this sounds really funny, but if you've experienced it, people know what I mean. I saw it as a shining blackness. Shining blackness. Now, years later, in fact, in the last 12 months, there was a doctor called Ibn Alexander, and he was, I think he's in New York, and he was a neurosurgeon. I think he still is. And he was one of these rigid kind of people. He admits it in his book. I was one of these rigid people. You know, obviously people would have near-death experiences when he was doing his surgery sometimes, and they'd tell him their stories. And as he said, I thought, oh, that's very interesting. A lot of rubbish, but it's very interesting. And it was like mainstream. This is not possible. This world is all there is. This man, in effect, died for 7 days, and this is the interesting point, which he points out. When he first left the body and had a near-death experience himself, he entered a realm. I talk about this in the new book that's coming out in the autumn. He went into a realm that was classically the realm of the demons and the what I would call the archons and the reptilian entities and all this stuff. In fact, he talks about seeing reptilian beings brushing against him and all that stuff. And then a light came down, and he was taken out, what he called through the gate, into this amazing blissful place, and on and on and on, until, this is where I'm coming round to, he said he was taken to experience the ultimate, the source. And you know what he calls it? The dazzling darkness. Wow. Exactly what I experienced. Yeah. When you look at people in so-called history, way back, take Leonardo da Vinci, and another guy who followed him in Italy very soon afterwards, just a couple of decades or so, called Giordano Bruno. These people, when you read their stuff, were so far advanced of their era. And what people say about them, even today, like Da Vinci, is he was hundreds of years ahead of his time. He wasn't. He wasn't. He was beyond time. right? This is the key to understanding this stuff. We are within this frequency range I'm talking about within the five senses, and most people are held in that frequency range. That frequency range is a range of energy, which means a range of information. If you can expand your mind and go beyond that into those upper realms, you're going into another level of information, inspiration, insight, and understanding. Now, we think of a linear Stone Age through Middle Age, through Victorian Age into Modern Age, and we see that progression. This level of awareness, but that's just a sequence of events within this tiny frequency range. That level of awareness is always there. It has always been there. In the Stone Age, if anyone could have expanded their mind, they could have got into that level of insight. And all the people like Da Vinci are doing, and Bruno were doing, is in their era when most people were so suppressed, not least in those days because religion was absolutely squeezing people's sense of perception, they were going into these realms where this knowledge existed. And when they bring it from the unseen into the seen, they're caught ahead of their time, and all they do is accessing the library. So when you talk about, you know, a female voice saying everything is love, and I talk about a female voice saying everything is love, and I see this sparkling darkness, and you see this sparkling darkness, and Ibn Alexander, the doctor, sees the dazzling darkness, all you're doing is expanding your mind and going into that level of reality where you can experience these things and get the insight from them. It is so simple.